welcome down to episode number 50 of the Down South Photo Show with me, Brendan Waits, and the guy over on that screen over there, Cam Blake. I'm in Ocean Grove, Victoria, and Cam Blake is in Hobart, Tasmania, and it's taken 50 episodes for me to still stuff that up. Hello, Cameron.
Hello, how are you going?
Yeah, very well. Very
funny.
well indeed. Episode 50, give it up for us.
It's amazing, isn't it? Episode 50, that we've been going for over a year now, which is just stupidly mind-blowing. But hey,
for punishment.
So be it. And you know what? Every time we do our recording, you go and this guy from Tasmania, and I'm always on my screen. I'm always this way, and I don't know why. If I can change it, I don't want to. Actually, I can change it.
Don't do that.
I've just changed it. Would you believe? I just slid it the other way.
I want to know which way to point. So now am I pointing the right way?
Anyway, I don't know. There's no right way or wrong way in this day and age. So, but yes, exactly. 50 episodes. That's an incredible achievement. Like considering you and I, as a couple of people doing this, putting this much commitment into something for over a year. It's pretty cool. Yeah,
well, we must be enjoying it. That's the main thing. And the reason, one of the reasons we've got to 50 episodes is because of you lovely listeners out there. So thank you for listening, tuning in on the weekly. Thanks to the new listeners. We seem to be gaining new listeners every week, which is great.
Our little subscriber list is going up.
Subscriber list on YouTube. For those of you listening, we also do this as a YouTube channel. So it's very visual. Obviously, we're landscape photographers, so quite often we will show off photos and stuff. So if you haven't seen us on the YouTubes, pop over and have a look.
What do those poor people do that have been listening on the podcast this whole time and go, oh, hang on, I don't want to listen to one, rather watch them.
Yeah,
like, do they have to go back?
They'll scurry back very quickly to just listening.
Yeah, do they have to go? Do they have to go and watch all the previous 49 episodes just to see a few photos we put up? Yeah,
so it's literally like 2 days straight of episodes.
It would be, wouldn't it?
And then probably a little bit more with the live shows. So
one other thing as well that's really good that I've seen a little bit of improvement in is like we have an Instagram account and we also have a Facebook account, which is at Down South Photo Show. Feel free to get on there. I know you're going to mention the $150 voucher that DigiDirect are giving us, but we are getting some really lovely photos being entered in. All you need to do is just drop us a direct message, a DM, as the kids call it. And it has to be of your favorite landscape photograph. Doesn't have to be this week, doesn't have to be last year, but it has to be a landscape photograph, and you can send it through to us. And are we going to draw that? Oh, we've got a couple of weeks still, haven't we? End of August.
Yeah, that's going to be wrapped up this month in August. So it'll be the last episode in August, which will come out around the 26th or something like that. So looking forward to. I haven't seen them yet, so I don't know how we're going to do this, but we'll work it out.
Yeah. Well, I can just send them to you.
Well, that'll probably be how we do it. And,
Technology, it's amazing these days. I can just send you photos.
Yes. So, so thanks to all the listeners who have got us this far. Without you guys, we probably wouldn't do this. To be honest, if we were 50 episodes in and we had 10 subscribers, I don't think we'd bother. But we've got a lot more than that, so that's great. So again, thanks to everyone for tuning in. Yes, DigiDirect in Melbourne have refurbished their store, and to celebrate, they have given us a $150 voucher to give away to you good folk. And as Cam said, get down in our DMs because we want to see the photo that you've taken, your all-time favorite landscape photo that you've taken. And we will pick a winner. It's going to be tough. Not everyone's going to be happy, but that's what happens when we run a competition.
Unless, of course, we pick it like all of them, and everyone just splits up the 150 between them, and everyone gets $5 each.
Yeah, wow.
I'm sure Mark would love to organise that at the other end.
Can you buy for $5 at DigiDirect?
You could probably buy a lens cleaning cloth. You
could probably get, depending on their pricing, but you could probably get 10 6x4 prints.
Oh, yes, you could get some prints done.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't get prints done at DigiDirect. You get them done at photo and camera.
Nice. How long's it been?
50 episodes. Gee whiz. It's been a long day.
Cameraandphoto.com.
Yeah, don't go to Photo and Camera. Don't go to those guys.
No, well, maybe I should register that name.
Surely you have.
So thank you to everyone for subscribing and everything. We're going to be talking a little bit on today's podcast about the last 50 episodes, about what we've learnt and the journey along the way, which is pretty cool. And I'm kind of hoping if I can get my act together, I will put out a little sort of greatest hits video on YouTube at some point as well.
That'll go for about 2 seconds.
Well, yeah, just a few of the
Yeah.
the more lighter hearted moments.
I reckon the episode where we teed off on a few people and probably thought we were going to get letters from solicitors, they're the ones they stick in my mind.
They tend to rate the best as well.
They do, don't they? Controversy rate. Hey, have you noticed our backgrounds almost, well, depending which way you have it, our backgrounds almost run into each other?
Yeah, we could all almost be in the same forest with like twin falls or something.
Yeah, we could be.
So where is your background, Cameron?
I took this just on the last few days, actually. This is a little section just out of Cradle Mountain called Cradle Falls. This is not the best part of the falls. That's actually like a big 3-tier fall. Actually looks a bit like your waterfall from the bottom than it does on mine. So, but it's a really, really beautiful, lovely forest section. I went there years ago with a few other friends and haven't been back there for a while, but it's a bit of a bush bash. It absolutely bucketed down rain getting in there. To the point, the track was literally the river that ran into the river.
Yeah, right.
So it was good though. We had a couple of friends. I'll give them a shout out. We had Jamie from Hobart, and we had Vesna, and we also had Ebony, both from Melbourne, from the opposite side of where you are. They're out Mornington Peninsula. They've all got really, really lovely Instagram accounts, so we might tag them down the bottom. Go check out their work and see the antics we got up to. Lots of laughs. There was a few cocktails had by some. Right. But it was just a bit of a cruisy explore around some waterfalls around Cradle Mountain and back to Hobart. So
okay, so yeah. in terms of the Cradle Mountain area, how many waterfalls are there and how accessible are they?
Well, Tasmania itself has about 200 odd waterfalls. Cradle Mountain has, as a guess, maybe half a dozen quite good ones. Yep. Mainly all fairly accessible. There's a couple that take a few extra hours to get to and a few other things, but there's another accommodation up there called Lemontine Lodge, which is this beautiful lodge. That's got two really nice waterfalls there. And then you've got Cradle Mountain, the sort of hotel region there. That's got another 3 or 4 waterfalls around there. So
I know someone who had their honeymoon at Lemontine Lodge.
There you go. Was that you?
Me.
Did you really? Did you go? And no doubt you
21 years ago.
And no doubt you got a photo under Bridal Veil Falls being a honeymoon. Or you cracked one open under the Champagne Falls? No?
It's 21 years ago, Cam. I can't remember.
Right.
Bridal Veil Falls does ring a bell, though.
Yeah, there's two nice waterfalls there, Bridal Veil Falls and Champagne Falls. Yeah, but we had a good time. Tassie's got some beautiful waterfalls, and there was so much rain. Like, these waterfalls are going to be flowing quite freely for a while, I think, after this.
I saw I was watching the radar during the week, and I noticed Tassie was copping a fair bit of the moisture, as is our neck of the woods at the moment.
That's crazy, isn't it?
I think I said this last year, but I reckon this is the wettest winter that I can remember.
Yeah.
We just seem to be getting rain almost on the daily. So which is nice. You know, it means we won't have water restrictions and stuff, and everything will grow like wildfire in the spring. Yeah. So it'll make places like behind me.
I was going to say, speaking of your lusher photo, where is that waterfall thing?
I was very lazy because this is a background I used on about episode 46. So this is Erskine Falls. Now I've been pulled up by locals because I call it Erskine, but apparently it's Erskine.
Oh, really?
I mean,
right.
Potato.
Erskine. What do they think it is? Erskine.
Well, it's spelled Erskine.
Yeah.
So there's an E, right?
Yeah.
So Erskine, but
Erskine.
Apparently it's Erskine. Okay, fine.
Right.
So this is Erskine Falls, which is a gorgeous falls, just 15-minute drive out of Lawn.
Yeah.
Lots of steps to get down to it. So you need a little bit of a level of fitness, but lovely part of the world.
You'll no doubt be building your fitness up for April, won't you?
Well, it begins, doesn't it? Because we're coming out of winter now, so there's no excuse. I have been on the bike trainer getting ready, and I am planning on doing one overnight hike in October with a good mate of mine, Jack, who probably doesn't listen to the show because he doesn't really give a toss about landscape photography, but
Hi, Jack.
Jack, yeah. Jack and I are doing a walk in the Otways for a night, and we might
Nice.
actually do another one a little bit later in summer for a couple of nights.
Cool. That'll be get you nice and prepared for the cool autumn breezes that we'll be
yeah. So we're just
experiencing.
doing a bit of prep. Yeah, I'm starting to look at different bits and pieces of gear that I'm going to buy that you're not going to supply. So,
Oh, what? Okay. Well, maybe we can do an
basically
episode.
bugger all.
We could do it. Maybe next episode we'll do an episode on what gear you need to go off the grid a bit. I think we did one like that,
particularly
didn't we?
when it comes to landscape photography off the grid.
Yeah.
You know, because there's specialized stuff that you need. We probably
Yeah.
talked about that before. I mean,
I think we did.
50 episodes, man. That gets a bit hard to constantly come up with topics to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Cam, what have you been doing this week? What's been going on in Cam's world?
Pretty much mine's been a pretty easy little week. Like I said, I was up here on the weekend, over the weekend with some friends. But this week's been pretty cruisy. I'm just waiting, starting my East Coast trip on Friday this week. So when this comes out, I'll be cranking this podcast in the bus just to really annoy my customers as we're driving out to the East Coast. Cool. Which is going to be fun. It's going to be damp, I think. They've had a lot of rain on the East Coast as well. So we'll be sussing that out as we go along, where we can get into and where we can't get into. But at the moment, just pretty much relaxing through the week, just catching up on a few emails and loose ends and getting ready to go again, really.
How many punters do you have on the East Coast?
This one's got 4, which is a number. It is a good number. Yeah, 4 to 6 is my sweet spot. Because you can get everyone, all the attention they need, and you can also just spread them out a bit, and they can have their own little bit of paradise, as I like to say.
Yeah.
As we're out and about. So 4's good, and it's just easier to remember everyone's name. when you got like 10 people, you're like, oh my god, I can't think of that lady's name. Yeah. And what was that guy's name again? No idea. Yeah. So that's going to be fun. And then we get back into early next week. To then, what else we got then? We got a little bit of a break, and then we're off to the Flinders Ranges again. So
yes, you are. Can't help but notice that you're coming back from the Flinders Ranges on Grand Final Day. So
are we? I didn't even know that.
That would be Saturday the 24th. Of course,
right.
I would know when the Grand Final is because my team's still a chance.
Yeah, but they're not going to get in. But this is not a footy show. What's your week got coming up for you?
No, my week. I'm in the middle of a mountain of work, which I seem to say every week, but the new shop location's going really well because people are going, oh yeah, that guy, I better get those photos in. But what I'm getting at the moment is a lot of people's landscape photos from Northern Australia. So it's that time of year when, and excuse me for using this horrible term, but the grey nomads start returning back down south, and they've spent their 3 months up north.
Hold on a second, I'm just checking the subscribe. Yeah, they've just dropped the subscribers. Yep, right. Exactly. Thank you. There's 150 just dropped off. Thanks, mate.
Yep. So I don't know. Is that? It's not a bad term, is it? The grey. They call themselves the grey nomads.
I don't think they do.
Says the guy whose hair's going grey.
Yeah, that's right. We're grey. We're grey. No one's.
So anyway, what I'm getting is a lot of people coming back from places like the Rock, places like northern Queensland, particularly northern WA, really popular.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there.
Carragini, these sort of places. So and they're coming in with photos, and a lot of people, I'll be honest, are taking photos with their iPhones and Samsung phones or Androids, whatever.
Which you can be thankful for because you started that trend.
Well, and the fact that they're actually there, and the number one question is, can I make this photo as big as that canvas on the wall there? And it's like, well, yeah, you kind of can. It'll look fine. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. I get to see a lot of these great photos, and when we do a canvas print for someone, we import it onto my screen, and I show them exactly how it's going to look. We crop it, we enlarge it, and all that sort of stuff. So I've been doing that a heck of a lot in the last week or so, and people are getting big canvas prints done, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. I must admit, I get a bit jealous as well when you see these people. Got a friend of the show, Matt Crummins. You know Matt Crummins. He's
on a big trip at the moment.
He is traveling. He's traveling around Australia. He's up in that region at the moment. Just ruining everyone else's winter by sharing epic shots of all these outback shots. So
look, I love it. He's traveling with his young'un, with his fans.
He is. Yes,
he's got these young child with him. Well, what an experience!
Surely he's got to be a pretty prominent listener to this show. I know there's another guy he did a podcast with. I can't think of his name now. Tom, someone. No, not important to be honest. But him and Tom ran a podcast show, but I don't know if it's as good as this one.
How come Tom's not a golfer?
He should be, shouldn't he?
Absolutely. What a name for a golfer.
Yeah, well, he does. I was going to say he does play with balls a fair bit, but that might be a bit inappropriate.
See,
and he swings both ways.
your potty mouth got picked up in the comments last week as well. So
did it really?
Yeah, it did. Someone, a little bit tongue in cheek, but they
really potty mouth. Did they?
Yeah, no.
Right. Was it you? Was it
episode 49?
It was Ash, wasn't it?
Speaking of, there's someone else who's about to head off with his fan bam, heading off I spied his caravan in his driveway the other day.
Yes.
He's got the rig, I tell you, he's all set up. It's going to be a blast.
That's awesome.
It's brilliant. And it's the perfect time for him to do it because his kids haven't hit primary school age yet. So he'll have a ball. He may never come back.
Wow. It's a good reason to stay away, isn't it?
Yes. So anyway, that's what we've been up to. So we thought we'd talk a little bit about on episode 50, what we've learnt about our photography over the last 50 episodes.
Yes.
Well, that's verbatim what you wrote in the notes, so that's why I'm saying that. I mean, I think
who would have thought we'd actually do some preparation for the 50th episode?
That's right. I mean, I think from my point of view, I've found, and I say this every episode, but I've found the engagement with our community to be great. It's given me a bit of a new lease on life. There's people now that I get messages from regularly. There's people now that I print for regularly, who have hooked up with us through the show, which is fantastic.
That's cool.
That's really cool. But I also really enjoy seeing other people's photography, but also seeing their journeys, because I think I've been in it for a long time, 30 plus years, as you have, Cam, and
maybe not 30.
I'm not sitting here saying we know it all. We certainly do not, and we do learn something new all the time. However, I like seeing people who are beginning their journey, or who are just sort of, you can see the pennies dropped for them and the obsession has begun. So I really enjoy seeing that. So for people out there who listen to our show, maybe every now and then, or like to listen for a bit of inspiration, take it from me. Once you get the bug and once you start working out a few things, it's the coolest hobby that you can have.
Yeah, and you're never too old. Like even the grey nomads can start shooting. Doesn't matter. I agree. It's been lovely to. Actually, the funny story, I will give a shout out to Judy Powell, who listens to the show, and her husband, whose name slips my mind at the moment. Mr. Powell. So funny story. We walked into the Cradle Mountain Lodge. It's got nothing to do about the last 50 episodes, but we're going to go there anyway. So we the friends I was away with came in, walking into the lodge at Cradle Mountain Lodge, and there was a lady and a gentleman sitting at the table near the window, and this lady was looking at the back of her photo, and me being a little bit cheeky as I do, we were outside the restaurant, they couldn't hear us, and they'll now know what we've said, so sorry. Anyway, I said to Jamie, oh look, it's a Nikon, or I think it was a Nikon, they'll all be terrible shots, mucking around. Anyway, we sit down, have dinner, and this couple come over and introduced themselves to me. They knew my work and they listened to the show and loved the Down South photo show. And Judy is a lovely photographer and doing really well from all reports in the little competitions that she's entering. But then we crossed paths a couple of times over the weekend at Cradle and at the visitor center and things like that. So yeah, you're right. The community it's reaching down here. They're not from Tasmania, but one thing I reckon what I've learned about our photography, or photography in general, landscape photography, I think there's no two landscape photographers the same. Like, it doesn't matter, I sometimes get people saying, I really love your work and it's very inspiring, and I try and go out and shoot similar to what you do. But it doesn't matter. Like, you and I can go out to the exact same spot and we can see 100% different things. And that happened over the weekend with friends. Like, we'd all get down to Cradle Mountain or the waterfall behind us here, and we just go zip and just disappear into our own little worlds and take little things. So I think that's something I've learned about landscape photography is the landscape's a very, very big, vast genre that you can shoot. And it is really easy not to put yourself in someone else's box, so to speak. You don't have to be like someone else. You can certainly take tips away. And, like Brendan said, we've been doing this for a while, and we can give you tips and advice on how to improve your photography. But really, and again, you said it as well, Brendan, when people get that buzz, that buzz is when you start learning your own journey and, thinking, okay, I like this bit of this person's work. I like how I do this. Or I like this location, and away you go. So, that's something I reckon I've learned, is that across the people that we speak to in the community that we have here, that no two landscape photographers are the same. And I'd almost go to the point in saying that no two levels of landscape photography are the same, because people just see things so differently. So that's great.
I love it like that, because sure, you can look at, every time I go to a new location that I haven't been to, I do a Google search, I look at the images, I see what I should be in for, and that's part of the preparation, I guess, of knowing what lens to take, what gear to take in general.
Yeah. And you get excited too, like that.
You do, absolutely.
You get
inspired as well. Like there's, I can't think of a place in Australia that hasn't been photographed, right?
No.
There probably are a few, but I can't. You'd have to probably go incredibly off the beaten track to get to some place that's never been photographed before. So I really enjoy the process of, I get excited by, all right, I'm going to a new spot, so I'll do a Google search for it. Yeah. I'll look at where the photos were done, and then it's like, okay, well, what's my take on that? How am I gonna? Well, what am I going to do there when I'm there? Not to outdo the photo that I've seen, or not, but just put my spin on it. And that's one thing I love about landscape photography.
I can't wait for you to come on this overland track, because, and I must admit, I get a buzz out of taking people along that track, because I've done it so many times. I know every rock, every tree, every mountain, every lake, every river, whatever. But then people go along, and I'm like, oh, I've never looked at that tree that way before, or I've never shot. That's pretty cool. And you can actually walk away like, it's all about me supposedly meant to be teaching people how to take landscape shots on this trip. Sometimes they teach me just as much from the way they go about their work as well. So, I think it's a great thing, and the fact that we're really quite privileged to really have this amazing community of people that listen to us. We've got 300 odd people that tune in. It's pretty cool to be able to share everyone's work and our love of this landscape photography game. It'd be nice to have 30,000 members, but I think having smaller members or smaller followers, I think it makes it a bit more realistic.
Well, and also when you consider we average 550 listens per episode, we've averaged since we started. I reckon that's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I'll just put up in the notes.
I've seen you adjust the running sheet. That's not a running sheet.
I reckon I know what our favorite episode was, but
I can't remember all our episodes.
Yeah, well, I think personally. Well, you go first.
No, you go first, because it might be the same.
It's easily the Ben Horn chat.
Yeah.
I just think he was so engaging, and it was so gracious of him to come on our little show. I think that was like episode 28 or something at that point.
Yeah. Episode 32.
Oh, there you go. Thank you. He was incredibly engaging and very open and happy to share his landscape journey, which was really cool. And if you haven't listened to it, I'll put a card cam. Did you know I can do that? I can put cards up here. So there's a card up there now. So click on that, and you can rack off and watch the Ben Horn interview, and then come back and join us at episode 50. But brilliant mind when it comes to landscape photography. I just loved his calming attitude and very very straight down the line, but obviously a hard worker and a deep thinker about landscape. Someone I would never be. I think that was a great episode. I think the fact that he's very, I found him very old school in his thought around landscape photography, which I love as well. The fact that he shoots film like that just makes me sort of get all giggly inside, that it's good that two are still doing that. I definitely enjoyed talking to Ben, and what I loved about that was just the before and after chat we had with him. There's no acting. It was just him. He's a very natural kind of guy. The fact that he knew something about cricket was pretty interesting, I think. So it's pretty good.
One of my other favorite episodes was the one I wasn't on. I think the one that you and Ash hosted, where I was away. That was a pretty good one. That was pretty
that
fun.
was good. That was the first time where we'd had a guest on, and
and I
Ash
remember
took to it like a duck to water. So that was good.
And I remember we were panicking. We're like, oh, we won't. Maybe we can't do something, or maybe we won't do it. Or do you reckon Ash will do it? And then Ash was playing. It was a bit like what's his name, Clarkson, holding off the Essendon Football Club at the moment. He was going to do it, then he wasn't going to do it.
Yeah, he's playing hard to get.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, who can forget our recent live episode that almost got 4,000 views? Amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
And I'd like to say hello to everyone on the subcontinent. I hope you're watching this episode.
Yeah, no, that was a good little spike in viewership, that one for sure.
I
think the live shows are really cool. And folks, we will be doing more of that stuff.
Yeah.
We are also due to have another guest on, so
I've approached someone, and as we know, that's not going to happen. That's fine. Maybe next year it will happen.
Yes, that's right.
But I've actually, I didn't tell you, but I've actually, last week we were talking about female photographers and specifically landscape photographers, female. I've actually reached out to another YouTuber lady who shoots in Victoria quite a lot.
Right.
I've reached out to her, and hopefully we'll get her on the show at some stage. So she does some beautiful landscape stuff. But to be honest,
they're a very good point of difference.
They are. Just getting back to our favorite episode, I'll be honest, I reckon, and my favorite episode after all the shits and giggles behind, I reckon number one. I think the fact that we actually got this off the ground and we're able to do it, because this is born out of COVID, and this is the whole idea was just to have a chat. And
it was actually born out of 2 beers around a fire in my backyard.
Oh, it was. That's true. Yeah, we should do a podcast.
We were just talking, and I just went, we should be recording this. Like this, this makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So no, you're right. And the hardest part about doing anything is showing up. So we showed up, which was cool.
Did.
So look at us patting ourselves on the back.
Yeah, well, someone has to.
Careful.
I might give myself a free hoodie. We sell these hoodies, the Hairy Tog hoodies and the Down South hoodies.
Me being completely sponsorless tonight.
Yeah, well. Out of 1 year, we've had one sponsor. As well.
Yes, true. That's okay. We'll get more. All right. So, for every up, there's a down. What's been your least favorite episode? Can you think of one? I mean, they've all been pretty fun, haven't they? I mean,
they have been pretty fun.
It's like picking your least favorite child.
Probably the one that Ash hosted, I reckon. No, look, they've all been great.
Well, it's a no-brainer for me, which was the worst one.
The one where you started abusing the local art prize person.
Glenn Lavender.
Did he even come on the show? Did he?
Yeah, he was here. I know. He can't even remember what our name is.
Episode 35. He was on. I was looking at the episodes there.
Yeah, nice.
Look, I don't think there's been a disappointing episode.
I'm joking, of course. The Glenn Lavender episode was awesome.
Yeah, it's not ranking very well. No, they've all been great. We've had a chat about some controversial discussions and topics on this show. We've talked about mental health and lots of different things. So I think, every episode's got its own little important message. So, I don't think there's been a disappointing episode. Maybe the one where, what was the one where you need to stop 5 times? Didn't we have one that we had nothing but technical problems through?
Oh, goodness.
Whatever it was. I think
that was when I got this webcam.
That
was when I migrated from actually doing it on my phone to doing it on a webcam, and then look what happened. See, I think stray away from the iPhone for 1 second, and it all just goes to pop.
I think the most memorable moment, here's another one we'll add to the most memorable moment of the last 50 episodes, is you going to 16:9.
Yeah.
that was a huge moment, not only in technology, but that was just
funny.
That was bigger than the moon landing, I reckon.
True, that's true. For those of you playing along at home, I could not work out for the life of me why I couldn't get a background in 16:9, why my window was 4:3, and as it turns out, the old iPhone can't actually do Zoom calls in 16:9.
Yeah. So it can do 10-meter wide canvases, but it can't.
That's right, but it can't do a Zoom call in 16:9, which is a technology that's been around since about 1992. But anyway, whatever.
We digress.
So, so be it. Yes. So we also, Cam's threw up a few other little questions we want to talk about a little bit. I get asked this question a lot, and you probably do as well, Cam, and that is it possible to make a living purely off landscape photography? And I think yes is the answer.
I think you can.
Yeah.
I think that's a bit, the way I've worded that question might be a bit vague, as in, is it purely off landscape photography prints or landscape photography, whatever it is. But I think if your main genre of photographing things is landscape photography, I think there's actually some really good streams that you can actually make money off. It doesn't have to be your main income, but if you're wanting to make a pure living off your landscape photography, then there needs to be a few different streams of avenues of money that you can make. So I did this with my business a few years ago, that I sort of broke my business up into 3 or 4 different avenues of income stream I can get off the landscape photography idea. And obviously workshops is a big one. Workshops are pretty popular with me. Printing, lots of prints, you do prints for me, etc. And then selling books and stuff like that. And then the other one that it goes a bit quieter here and there, was more the commercial stuff. So, working for Parks and Wildlife here, or working for certain companies that want, nice images for their websites or on their wall and stuff like that. So I think if you are looking to go down the avenue of trying to make money purely off doing landscape images, I think you need to be quite diverse on how you get those images around and what you do and how you distribute them around to make money. But I'm with you. I think you can. But it does take a lot of work. It doesn't just happen overnight as well. And I think that's something I get asked a lot, from people starting out in the game, that, they've been photographing for a year, on Instagram for another year, made their own business name, and then all of a sudden they want to, take over the world with the landscape photography business. And they sort of ask me, well, how did you get to this point, or how did you do that? And I was like, well, it took me 10 years to do that, and it took me another 5 years to get that, and then it's taken me probably 20 years to get my name to be somewhat recognizable, etc. So
I think landscape, photography in general, can be follow the old classic line that it takes 10 years to become an overnight success.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the reason I run camera and photo is a means to an end for me, because I got into the world of selling my own photography when I was quite young. I was like 19 when I did my first market selling photos, just literally like photos stuck to a greeting card that I sold at a local market in Swan Hill. But from there, I knew that I was going to be in this industry now, and the retail side of things, when you and I met, when we were at Camera House on Elizabeth Street, that was a means to an end, because I was now selling stuff that I was using, in my landscape photography. So I was actually getting my hands on all the latest gear and all the latest lenses, and I love that stuff. I also like to sell, so it was a meeting of the two, and it worked really well for me. And from that point on, I was always going to be in this industry. Now, making photos directly from landscape photography is bloody hard graft, man. It's not easy. You've got to have an amazing product, and you've got to have a pretty free and flexible lifestyle as well. And that doesn't line up with kids and family life. It's really, really tough.
It is.
So that's why, as I say, running camera and photo, where I'm printing photos for people, I'm selling gear, I'm running my workshops, that sort of stuff, as I say, is a means to an end, where then I can get out to Erskine Falls and take photos and stuff, and selling the landscape photos has almost become the cream on top. So the foundation is the actual business that I run, that makes me the money to go out and take photos.
And you think you're right as well. Like time is really tricky, and getting to places. And I must admit, I noticed that with some of the mates I hang out with and shoot with, is I've even had some mates down here like, oh geez, I wish I could just do what you do, where you go out and take photos all the time. I'm like, well, there's a lot behind that as to getting that time to do it and stuff like that. And it never was like that. I've got myself to a point just in the last few years where I've been able to do that. But it is a balance. Like if you're working full time but you love landscape photography and you want to start trying to make money off that, then you need to find a balance. So, like you said, whether or not can you get into your local market, or can you go to your local cafe and ask to sell prints on the wall for a commission, or there's different avenue streams, but you got to build that up. And like you said, you got to have the product to do it. So it can be really tricky, and time's a big one of those, is getting time to actually, put your business plan as such in play and get it right. So it's tricky.
And there's nothing bigger than the pride swallowing exercise of when,
Mhm.
like, for example, when I started doing markets, and I mean when I started going to bigger markets like the Yamundi markets on the Sunshine Coast, I invested a fair bit of money in getting prints done and getting frames and all that sort of set up. There's no biggest pride swallowing exercise than standing there and not selling a bloody thing.
Yeah.
It's tough, man. Like, and also, like, I literally had doors slammed in my face, like at galleries and stuff.
Yeah.
Photography, get out of here, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a lot of that, but you just got to sort of stick with it, find your niche, find what works in a market for you. And of course, this day and age, it's all about electronics. So it's all digital, it's all social media, that sort of stuff. Companies are always looking for images and imagery outside of what stock standard photo libraries offer. So there's plenty of avenues out there for people who want to do it, but there is always that sort of weight of time, finding the time and the work-life balance. So.
And I think as well, like when again getting back to this whole time thing, we're landscape photographers and we're capturing moments in time. We don't rush our photographs. We don't sort of get up there and go snap and then walk off. We're done. You don't walk 20 Ks, take a photo, snap and walk out. And I think that's the same with trying to build your landscape photography business. And I think, again, the world of social media has made everything so instantaneous that, okay, I've got to be instantly making money off my photography, or I need to be recognized straight away, or I need to have 1 million followers or whatever it might be. I think you need to understand that this takes time and you can't just expect to come in and make money off the bat real quick, unless you've got some amazingly incredible images or you're extremely savvy with your marketing and social media. You need to do something to stand out of the crowd. And I see it all the time, and even on the weekend just talking to my mates from Melbourne, there's quite a lot of people that are really, really big on social media but can't turn a dollar for making money off their landscape photography because they've got all these people following them, but they haven't maybe got the right people following, or their work's not registering with whatever. Or
I know many photographers right here in my area that are selling prints or selling digital assets and that sort of stuff, but still work full time. Not as photographers. They have, as my dear old mum used to say, when are you going to get a real job?
Yeah.
So and that's still very common, and that speaks a lot to the fact that it is hard graft to rely purely on landscape photography as an income stream. It's really only the top 0.001% that reach those kind of heights.
And I think also like something I thank you for. You said to me a few years ago about working for myself, and you said working for yourself is you don't have to answer to anyone as such. You set your own roster and things like that. And sometimes don't maybe think I want to run a landscape photography business or whatever, and I want to pay my house off and I want to be rich and famous, because that's most likely not going to happen. But if you can find yourself a balance in your lifestyle where you can get out to these beautiful places either on your own and sell prints or take people out and teach them or whatever it might be, it's a pretty good damn office to work in. And I get told that all the time. And even I think it was Judy, the lady that ran into us at the hotel as we were leaving, she was talking about the overland track, and she said something along those lines like, geez, your office is terrible. How do you deal with this every day? I'm like, well, exactly. So we are lucky and we are blessed in that way that we get to spend time in these beautiful spots.
It's easy as well to take that stuff for granted. And every now and then I have to remind myself about what I do. And a good example of that was a few months ago when I did that drive up to Dalesford and just went out on my own for a day and was a photographer for a day. And that really that proved to me yet again that I'm in the right thing for me. So it was awesome, nice.
Cool.
We want to talk about that next thing that's under the cursor right there.
We can hold that off to next week, or we got time. I don't know. What do you want to do?
I have no idea. I don't even know where we're at with time wise, but
we're about 40 minutes in, and that last dot point was almost a bit around that last bit as well. But like, there's something and I don't think it doesn't matter which photography genre you're in. There is something about landscapes or beautiful places that just tickle us as humans, I think. And
Yeah.
I don't know, like even where I was behind me, like I always do it now. I always just switch the camera off, take a few minutes in, whether or not I'm looking for compositions or whatever, I'm just taking it in. But there's so many beautiful places that we get to visit on this planet. And I don't know, it's just, why do we get attracted to these beautiful places? Like, there's, it's probably inbuilt as humans that we want to get back to nature and stuff like that. But
there's no question. Every time I come away from, again, be it a day trip, be it, if I've been for a few days to a new area where I'm trying to get photographs, I always come away energized.
Yeah.
I take a lot out of getting back to nature and getting into these places with my camera.
Yeah.
And I think the process of trying to capture it is incredibly satisfying. Win, lose or draw. Like even if I come away with nothing, which has happened many times, where I've just come away and just frustrated with, but it takes me 2 seconds. I go, hang on a minute, you're in this awesome part of the world, and it doesn't take long to to realize where you've been, or to remember where you've been, and the energy that you're taken away from that. So no, it's a very, very cool job. It's a very cool hobby as well for those listeners out there who are just hobbyist enthusiasts and who love getting out into these awesome places. And I've always said this, that if you get into these places with a camera, you will see way more than if you go there just as a tourist or a walker or something like that.
Agree.
You really do explore areas a lot more closely when you're looking for compositions. That's
I think you definitely take it in more. You sort of take in your surroundings a bit more. And I think, like for me, the thing I enjoy so much about landscapes and these beautiful places is it actually it touches all the senses. So for example, where I am behind me, it was pouring down rain, so we could feel and touch the rain and the dampness on us. We could smell all the beautiful fresh forest. We could hear the rain and the water, and people slipping over and carrying on. And we could smell it all, we could taste it all, we could see it all. It's one of those things that actually just captures everything we are. So you don't necessarily get that, when you're in the cities, or not to the same sort of spot, or if you're in a studio just doing studio work or whatever. So I think the thing that keeps me coming back to these amazing places is it really does. It's sort of you're switched on and switched off at the same time, if that makes sense. I made a bit of a dad joke when we were at this location. I know, who would have thought? But I was just sitting next to this waterfall watching it go through, and someone said something, "Oh, what are you doing, or what are you looking at?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just live streaming." And they're like, "Oh God." But that's almost like what it is. Like you're hooked into nature, and it's live stream. You're live streaming into nature, which is that's as corny as it's ever going to get on this show. But I think it does. I think it just switches on every sense we have. And I think that does something to our brains, where it might switch off all the other stuff that's, taking a room up in our brain, and it just switches it all off. And you're like, right, okay, I'm here. I'm taking it in, and I'm going to enjoy it.
Well, while you've been talking, we actually received an entry into the landscape.
Did we just
competition?
Right.
I don't know if you look. Oh, sneak peek, Cam. Look,
I know who that is.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, and I play favorites.
No, but if I think it's who it is, I don't know. Maybe Is it from someone with the initials?
Maybe I should pixelate that.
Is it someone with the initials DO?
Correct.
Yeah, I ran into DO. We'll keep that quiet. I ran into DO. That's so weird, isn't it? His nature doing its thing. So this gentleman, which we might even get him on the show. He does some absolutely beautiful work down here in Tassie, and I've never met this gentleman before face to face. We've spoken online, we've exchanged ideas and stuff like that online. We were driving down this road to the waterfall, bucketing rain. There's a car coming the other way on this deserted dirt road in this forest, and it was that person that just sent the photo in.
There you go.
And he went, Cam, and I went, oh, I know you. And he sent me a few photos like that later that night and said, this is what I got. How'd you go? And again, this is that community where, and I know with him as well, which I haven't really met him personally, but I love it about him already, is that absolutely no ego. Like the ego is just switched off, and it's all about just enjoying it, sharing it, taking it all in. So
Yeah,
he definitely can't win now. What a shame.
be more like him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's it.
But
So I've
we
just
might.
blown his cover, and he's not
No,
winning
no, no,
anything.
no. That's all. But we might, like I said, we might feature some of his work on here because he's something I highly respect, and I think his work's really, really lovely. So,
Awesome.
yeah, we'll plug him in a different episode.
This has been a very reflective episode for episode 50. One of my favorite parts of our episodes is the Dear Cam segment, which was born just out of a bit of a laugh to.
We must have a doozy on this episode.
Oh, we've got absolutely none. So we don't have a Dear Cam for episode 50. How crap is that? But that's okay. If you have a Dear Cam question, Dear Cam is basically where you might be battling with something with your photography and you want to ask us about it. You might be tossing up between a certain lens or camera or some gear, whatever. You might have a question about printing. You might have a question, whatever. Any question you've got, we call it Dear Cam. We'll trot it out on here, and that guy in Tasmania will try and answer. That guy in Tasmania will try and answer it. So,
what kind of community What kind of community do we have here? If we've got a 50th episode and no Dear Cam,
do you remember our other?
The horror stories
that failed miserably. I think we had about 3, and
it was a horror segment / horror idea.
We got rid of that real quick. But if you've got a photography horror story, we'd like to hear it.
Yeah,
and it'll make an appearance in the next 50 episodes at some point.
Yeah, will we get to 100?
Didn't think we'd get to 50, so who knows?
That's another year.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, all right.
I'm pretty sure we will. If it keeps growing the way it's growing, I don't think we can turn our backs.
We can't turn this machine off, can we?
No, we've sort of created a monster.
Right.
So you've got your East Coast tour coming up this week.
I do. Have you got another workshop? Have you got another workshop in your shop?
I do. So I have a workshop, an entry-level SLR workshop, another one on Monday, the 29th of August. I launched it today, and I think I've got 2 spots left already. So they go pretty quick. I do limit it to 6, so they sell pretty quick. If you're in the area and want to join in, they'll probably be all sold out by the time this goes to air. But hey, get in contact with me and get on the standby list. I have my intermediate workshop running in September, as well as my landscapes and seascapes workshop. And coming in October is our Bellarine Peninsula photo tour. So that's
when's that on? Where's my bloody invite?
That's going to happen late October. So
I'm free. I'm free late October. And if you can run it around, here's a sneak peek. If you can run it around the 23rd of October, I'll be in Melbourne.
Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see what we can organise.
I'm coming to see a concert.
Oh, are we?
No, I am. You're not.
Who are you going to see?
Well, no, I won't.
You don't want to say.
No, I'm going. It's a concert. They're called Steel Panther. Have you heard of Steel Panther?
I have not heard of Steel Panther.
I don't really follow Steel Panther that much, but they've got a band supporting them that I like. So we're going to see the support band, and we're going to make a bit of a weekend up in Melbourne. But who knows? Maybe we can do something on that weekend, like an entry level. I'll do a special guest appearance at the shop or something.
Something tells me I've double booked myself. But anyway, we'll come back to that. It's totally fine.
I hate that. The way this is going to be really corny, but if we finish this episode in the next minute or so, it's going to be a 50-minute episode.
Perfect. 50 minutes for 50 episodes sounds good to me. So we should wrap this up. So for me, workshops coming up and back into the shop, and it's just great. Cameraandphoto.com.au. There's a plug for you. Your website is, Cam?
tasphoto.com.au. We've got
link in description.
Heaps of workshops going on at the moment. I've just released some of the World Heritage workshops. So there's a Tasmania one, Tasmanian World Heritage one next March, which is going to be epic. It's going to be flights, aerials, choppers, incredible landscape photography opportunities. And then also in, I think it's May or July, is the Southeast Queensland one, which we've just locked in as well. So they're on the website. Get on board. They will sell out quick, I reckon. I've already got a few people snipping at my heels to get on those ones. So
that is very exciting.
It is. I'm really excited too. So
I like it.
All right.
Well, thanks everyone for joining us on episode 50. We will see you for episode 51. Thanks, Cam.
But
Thanks for the last 50
I'm trying
episodes.
to do a 5-0 backwards. Is that
Um,
can you do that on? You can't do that simple anymore, can you?
This is the part where I say thank you, Mr. Blake, for
Oh,
the
yes.
last 50 episodes. It's been absolutely a pleasure. So hopefully you've enjoyed the journey so far as well.
Likewise, mate. Like I said, I say it to Lisa all the time. If it's just a matter of you and I getting on and talking crap for 45 minutes, then that's a good thing to do each week. Absolutely. And I've loved every minute of it, apart from that Ash episode. But apart from that, because I wasn't on it. But, it's been good. And
then Blue Lavender one. We will see you for episode 51 of the Down South Photo Show next week. Bye for now.
Cowabunga.
Oh, you didn't.